Hey, hi. My name is Samir and I'm part of the DAOS engineering group. And today I'm going to show you how to install and set up the DAOS metrics and including the Prometheus and the Grafana dashboard. So this is what the topic we are going to cover today. We'll go through the documentation, where to find the documentation and steps, how to set up the server and client, not in a more detailed way, but there are specific points which related to the telemetry connections. So we'll go through that. We'll see some of the Deus metrics commands which are server side and the DMG command which is on the admin side as well. We'll the setup and verify the Prometheus. And then next is to set up Grafana, how to install the Grafana and how to import the default Deos dashboard, which is available in the Deos repo. And at the end, we'll try to run some IO and analyze the default dashboard graphs, and we'll try to add a new graph also. There are many data points available in the Deos matrix. Some of them are available. Some can be used by support engineer or the developer engineer to identify the issue, understand the internal health of the system. But some of them can be used by the administrator also. For example, how to what is the SCM and NVM usage? How many systems are still up? And is there any event also? So those graphs are available in the default dashboard. And at the end, we'll have a contact in case you guys need any support or if you have any issue during the installation and understand more, we'll give you the contact as well. So let's begin. Okay, so the first point is the documentation. So I'm going to show you where to find the documentation related to the DAOS matrix. So we have a DAOS stack and the DAOS repo. And if you go to that DAOS repo, there are online documentation available, which is easiest to go through it. So now once you see, you will be able to see the latest releases and the detailed introduction, some of the information, how the DOS works. I'm not going to go into the detail of everything because purpose of this video is to show how to set up the dashboard and the Prometheus to see the DOS map. So what you can do, it's a part of the administrator guide. So you can click on the administrator guide and then you can go to the system administration. And then you will see a different topic, which system administrator is supposed to be the responsible and preferable person to set it up. And inside that, the system monitoring is the section where we will go through the steps one by one. But this is where we can find the documentation on how to set things up or how to use some of the internal commands and collect the Tails metrics. So now let's see how to set up the server and clients. I'm not going to go into the detail of how we do it from the scratch, but mostly we'll focus on the telemetric side of it. So left-hand side is the console for the client, and right side is the server. So I'm just going to open the server conf file so that you can just go through it. So if you have seen the document, right, the system monitoring side, the first two we are going to go into the detail later on, but the first configuration, how to configure the server for remote metrics collection. So basically, what it does actually, it opens a telemetry port 9191 HTTP endpoint for the metric collection, and these can be these can be presented to the Prometheus. But there is a way where at least you can analyze without even setting the Prometheus and the Grafana as well. So what it can do is like uh, when it is set up and the server will start, the server will have access to analyze some of the metrics. And that is based on each individual server. So let's see how we can set up that. So this is my standard server config. It has the control plane setup on the top. And the most important thing is the telemetry port 9191, which we set up. There are two engines. You can see that, and each engine has 8 targets. And right now, I'm using the temporary storage of temp.fs. It's a RAM, and then there is this one NVMe drive per engine. So at least we will be able to see some statistics for the single NVMe drive as well. Okay. So I'm going to start the servers. So we have total six physical servers, six physical system, and we are running two engines per system. So it's going to be 12 total engine. And I have some pre scripts which run the DAOS command or the DMG command. So in this case, it started doing this DMG storage format. And you can see that it's already started doing the format on the server side. So we have like 73 to 78 are all the servers, and 170, Wolf 170 is the client. Okay. So let's wait to see the setup done. Okay, so now we are still not there yet. We should see the engines. Okay, so now let's see. The ranks started showing up, and we should run the query. This is the DMG admin command, which shows that how many ranks has joined. And if we add -b more verbose, it will show us the detail about the individual ranks as well. So you can see that 0 to 12 is total rank at each system. Like in this case, 173 is the one which is starting rank 0. And then 173 has the another rank, which is the rank number 4, right? Now, what we can do here is that we can open the HTTP and host and the port, which is a 9191, and see if at least we can go through, can access through it. So I'm just gonna stop this one. And so initially it looks like the DAOS exporter and the metrics. And now you can see all the metrics are currently happening. So you can refresh the point in some cases. Right now, some of the metrics are zeros, but you can see that there's a lot, many. If you can scroll down, there are a lot of things. And as you can see that there are two engines. So this is rank 0, but this has a 8 targets. So this is like rank 0, target 0, rank 0, target 1, and so on. And then there is one more rank 4, which is on the same system, Wolf 173. So it also has the 7. So technically, there are 7 data points for each individual metric. So this is for engine BMA buff and so on, and that's it's going to be a big list. So some of them can be used to debug internally. You can see the health of the status. Some of them can be used as a as the admin, like how the storage capacity, or how is there an event on the system server side, how many servers are up, is there any servers are down or whatnot. So now this is on specific on the 173. I can do that the same thing for all the servers. So I'm just gonna go and show you one more thing. So 174 is also a different server. It can show the rank is 1, and it's just running the rank 1 and rank 3. Okay. So that's how we set up. The system is up and running, and now we'll go through some of the metrics command, server side and the admin side. Okay, so let's see some of the commands, metrics commands. So we'll go through it, the DAOS metrics first, which is the server side. So that command, you can run it on the server. The information is available here on the wiki page as well, local metrics collection with the DAOS metrics. So this can be run on the specific local host only. There is no configuration required to run these DAOS metrics. You can just run that command, and it's just going to display the metrics. This is kind of divided into a different format. We will see that, and then the one important thing is that right now each engine is going to maintain its own metrics. So by default, it's going to be showing to go display for the engine first, and then if you want the data for the engine 2, there is a server index ID which you can provide, and it will show the data for the other engine. So let's try run that on. So this is one of 173 is my server. and I'm going to run the Deus metrics hyphen help. So, and I can see that all the information, and I'm going to run the command. So that shows us this command, all the data points, including NVMe as well. So on that you can see that because we have two engine, and one engine has a NVMe drive which is mapped to 83 PCI address. So you can see the all the health information for this 83 NVMe, which is PCI address is 83. Now, if you want hyphen S to, if you want the another engine data, you can do hyphen S and one, and that will display all the data. And you can see that here the NVMe, which is its PCI address, is 84 because if we see the server YAML file, the first engine is using the 83 and the second engine is using 84, right? So that's how it's going to display the both the statistics. There are more options which you can use it. For example, you can use it in a mode for CSV. So that is going to display in a single line format, which you can import into the file and analyze more. You can reset also some of the counter, and these are the customization option which you can customize the display by specific one. You can give one or more type. You can do a metadata also, like to get what type of metrics you are going to get and what is the unit and not. So let's say, for example, in this is like the current value is 0 bytes. The description of that particular data point, what exactly the val size is, the val trans 3 is a transfer size, and what is the unit it's measuring, right? So that's how it's going to show. Like in this case, it's fetching the processing time, so it's going to be units in microseconds. Um, so that's how the DAOS metrics command will be used. And now we will see the another command, which is the DMG telemetry, which is the admin side command, which can be run from the admin dock. Okay, so DMG telemetry command, if it's the same number which we saw using the DAOS metrics, that can be used also from the DMG telemetry command. So DMG, I'm just going to go step by step. So DMG, then telemetry has this telemetry hyphen H, and that will have a config and metric. So these two options are, so one config is going to install, like configuring the telemetry. So this is going to install the Prometheus, and then it will generate the Prometheus config file, and that config file can be used to start the Prometheus in the background, which will collect the data from all the servers. But another option is that to do interact with the matrix, right? So even without installing, there is an option where you can do list and available matrices command. The only thing is that in this case, we have to provide the specific server IDs, right? So that at least you can get specific IDs. So right now, I just ran a command which is listing all the data points, data matrix point, and the way it works. So it's a list, and now I'm gonna run the query command, so which is gonna do the query on all the target, all the data points. Uh, so query also has an option to do metrics, specific metrics you can ask. So I can ask specific metrics is like, let's say, okay, this one is the start time, which is a gauge type, and that's gonna show me the metrics for this 173. Yeah. The same way you can do it from 100 to 174 as well, and that will give us from a different flow. You can combine the metadata for multiple metadata specifics of start time and let's say virtual memory bytes, and you will see that these are the two specific metadata is coming from the 174. So in this case, when we collected the query, basically it's going to collect the query for both the target. As you can see that in this case, we had option to analyze the individual target, but when you run on specific thing, using the DMG command, it is going to give us both the ranks, right? So you can see that this particular engine schedule weight Q, which is a type of gauge, and it ran for all the targets, all the extremes for rank 1 and the rank 3, right? So that's how it's gonna display these numbers. So now let's see if we can go and set up the and verify the Prometheus. So for that, we are going to use the DMG telemetry command, config command, which is going to install. So there is a section called as a remote metric collection with DMG telemetry, and what it does actually, it's going to install the Prometheus server, and then it will going to create the server config file which has all the targets, and it will add all the server host addresses and the telemetry port for the DAOS server. Um, um, so this is what the DMG telemetry config command, and it has the option to install -i is required so that the admin knows where exactly the path the config is in this particular binary is installed, and they can add it into the default path. So let's see. I'm just gonna stop this one, and I already have these Prometheus installed. So I'm just gonna remove it. Just gonna clear it again. And DMG telemetry config. And in my case, I'm just going to give you the path, the current directory, and see how that looks. Okay. So you can see that it's downloading and installing the Prometheus. And it also shows us what version actually of the Prometheus is getting downloaded. And then eventually it will generate the config file, and we can open and verify the config file, how it looks like. Give a few more seconds. Okay, that's it. So now you can see that the DAOS monitoring config file is stored in my home folder, and I can check what exactly it created. So it has some global and the job names, and in these configuration, the default one. There are some intervals also which are there by default, and I think those intervals are well enough to collect and view the statistics. But the important thing is the target. So we have all these 6 targets, right? So 6 DOS servers, which is running the 12 DOS engines. So this all are has been added now. So this is how it's already set up. We don't need to do anything else. Now the command which we can run to start the Prometheus server, which is this one. So Prometheus is, and if you do -help, then it has the command, and it used this config.file. So -config.file, and the file which we are going to use is the default one which we generated here. Let's start and see if it works fine. So you can see that it does started the Prometheus, and on the browser we can go and start and see if we can access the Prometheus GUI. So this is on my 170 as admin node. So I'm going to do 170, and my port. It's so default port for the Prometheus is 9090, and you can see that it's opening the browser, and it's able to see that. You can search here for the numbers. So these are all the numbers which are actually getting collected. You can see that all this. So I just searched for the some numbers, and let's see if we can do NVMe command NVMe commands data units return. You can execute that one, and you can see that here, right? You can see the numbers here are for specific engine. So you can see that if I mouse over, I can see that rank 6. It's a Wolf 1759191 port, and the data unit number is 1091, and so on. And you can list it in the table. So this is the Prometheus view. It's looks okay, but there is still you need to explore. Like you want to see everything onto a one big dashboard. That's where the Grafana comes into the picture. But this is how, even we haven't installed or ran anything in the Grafana, but this is how the Prometheus can look like. And you can run any of the data here. You can search for the um, any statistics you want to see. So this is the gauge right now. We haven't wrote anything data, so we won't be able to see it. But eventually, I will show you how once we have written, which we created a pool, a container, and we have written some data. There's some numbers we will be able to see. So now let's see if we can install and verify the Grafana and also import the DAOS default Grafana dashboard, at least the default one, and you can see that. So for that purpose, what we can do here is that I just, if you Google the Grafana installation, it's a standard process. There is no detailed documentation required, but they have a detailed documentation in case needed. So you find out the Grafana installation and you find which Grafana which operating system you have, and you want to install the Grafana. In my case, I have RHEL. And then this is the first step as a yum repo, which I already included it. And then I'm just going to run the sudo yum install Grafana command. So that will install the Grafana. And we can verify the default Grafana. It works fine. At least you can see the GUI and things are working fine. As you can see that it did install. Now I'm going to start the Grafana services, and then I'm going to check whether it's up and running, at least from the status point. So it looks good now. I'll go back here and it says Wolf 170 is my admin node, and the Grafana has a default port of 3000. So I'm going to open that one, and it will open this welcome screen, which asks for the email or the username which you have set up. But by default, it's admin and password is admin. You can change it later on. For now, I'm just gonna skip it. No new password, and you can see the dashboard view and the main front page. So that seems like okay, Grafana is working fine. Now, what we need to do here is to connect the Grafana with the Prometheus, right? So how do we do that? So you go back to the main home page where there is an administrator, and then there is the admin has a data source. So we can add the data source for us. The data source is the Prometheus, where the data points are getting collected. So once you click on add data source, you will reach all the data source, which is Prometheus is first one, and then you can do that. So we have seen that it was running it on the Wolf 170 9090, so it's basically the same host. So we will have the same HTTP localhost, and the port number is 9090. Okay, and then you can do save and test. So basically, it's going to save the data source, and it's also going to verify. So it sees green, it looks good. So that means it can see the Prometheus database as well. So that's the setup of the Prometheus database with the dashboard Grafana. Now let's see if we can import the default DAOS config file and see how the dashboard looks like. So for importing the DAOS, the DAOS config, we will try to get the config. So in the DAOS repo, when you go on the DAOS repo, there is a folder called as a utils, and inside the utils there is this folder called as a Grafana. And then that Grafana has the some steps of telemetry and installation as well, and how to do start the Grafana server. Uh, Now what we can do, like we can import the JSON file. So there is this Grafana DAOS Grafana dashboard JSON file is available. I'm going to copy paste it, or you can download it and import it as well. Both the options are available. So I'm just going to copy that one. And here in the dashboard, I'm going to go and say dashboard, and we'll see if I can import. So that's the import, and import via JSON panel. I'm just going to copy and paste it, and I'm going to load. And then it's going to say, okay, name. So it took the name. It will ask for the data source again, and it will say import. So now it all imported the default dashboard of for the DAOS, and you can see that it has the system, which is system menu is the how many total ranks are active. So right now we have 12. Is there any event, especially in the rank died? So is there any events happen? That is also there. And then if you scroll up down, there is IO. We haven't created any pool, anything, so we won't be able to see that, but we'll check that. We'll create the pool container and write the data and see how that looks like. And then there is this pool and container handler where we have a pool handles, container handles, and the container operations as well. So let's go and see if we can create a pool and container and write the data and see how the stats looks like. So now we have a Grafana dashboard up and running. So we can try to create the pool and run some IO and analyze the default metrics. How is it populating? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pool here. So the pool command is emg pool create. Icon icon size. There are a couple of options to use as a size. You can individually give the size. So I'm going to give the standard size for the time of the complete storage of 10% and the pool name. So in this case, pool, let's see. You can see that it's creating the pool now. And while the pool is getting created on the dashboard right now, the system won't display anything. IO is not happening, so that's not going to populate. But hopefully we will see something in the pool creation at least. Okay, so it's a pool has created. Now I'm going to, okay, I need to open the pool also. So let me uh, create the container as well, and then we can run some IO. So the container create command is IO container create the name of the pool and the container name is so container one container, then type of the container. So in this case, let's say a POSIX type, and you can see it's created the container as well. Now what we'll do, we'll try to run some IOR with that container. So now in this case, I'm using the 8 number of processes and it's going with the DFS protocol, the total block size of 1 gig, and then the transfer size of 1 megabyte. So aggregated size is 8 GB. Now this should, you can see that in the graph open pool handle. So you can see the pool handle has been opened because it's about to, it's using that pool and same as the container. So now you can see the container operation also is happening. So open, close, and eventually it's destroyed. So right now it's open and close. Now we can see the IO. So you can see that the bandwidth is it started populating. It's started increasing. IO operation is happening right now. We are writing it only. So the you can click on the update and you can see it's mostly all the updates are happening. The fetch is not started yet. These are the some fetch number which are like the metadata related. So that's not relevant at this moment. So once update is finished, it will we can try to read the data back and see how that looks. Now on the other two graph fetch latencies, it's nothing but the so we have this individual size of IO which is being tracked for individual target, and we are combining them to it. So now in this case, you can see that it's this is the right now fetch is not happening. This is the update going on. So there is not much data on the fetch side, but you can see that here the update is happening, and mostly all those updates are happening for 1 MB, right? So you can maximize the graph, like you can display the graph, and you can see that the one MB, which is mostly making progress for, right, because the transfer size was 1 MB. So now write operation is finished. So we can see it from the console. So there is the write is done. Let's try to do the read now. So at least we can see the fetch numbers. And as you can see that here, the bandwidth is normal to zero now. I operation is reduced, but now we have started read. So you can see it here. The fetch latency started making spikes now here, and you can see that here. If you click on the fetch, so the fetch is increasing now. And if you click on the update is flat. So there is no write is happening, only read is happening, and that's making the progress. Um, let's see if we can finish this one and can this is what the standard dashboard looks like. The other parameter is also going to be updated according to the operations. There is nothing happening from the system side yet, so all the servers ranks are up. There is now ranked event as of now, so everything looks good. So now read is finished now. So you can see that the bandwidth and the read ROI operation is also done. You can see it here. The read operation is finished. So that's how you can visualize the bandwidth, the I operations, average latencies for update and fetch both, and there are I operations for the pool and container handler, right? And these operations are based on the how does it how the pool is getting created, how many pools are being open handle, and so on the container. So now let's see if we can add a new graph. It's simple. There are a lot of data points, but for now I'm going to add one visualization for the space usage. So you can add a new visualization and find the metrics which you want to add. It will list all the options, but we are admin maybe more interested in the space one. So this is the NVMe was space NVMe used. I'm going to click on the run query, and then you can see that it's showing the spike. Right now, it's all individual rank and individual target, so it's all reported for all 12 ranks, and each rank has all the targets. So we may have to, it's better to like add some. So once we add some, it's all going to create a combine and give it in a one form. So you can see that this is all the combined map sizes. um, we can this bytes is also in the unit is also in the byte, so we can change that to have a better visualization. So let's say we can change it. um, so I'm going to change to bytes. uh, yeah, so now that looks good. So you can see that 8 GIB is that's what we wrote. Our size was 8 GIB, and we can also add the SCM space as well, but we haven't used the SCM space, so it's not going to have any impact. But administrator can use any number of stats and play with the graphs. So what I'm going to do here now, we added a separate graph also. I'm going to destroy the pool, and 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 that should reflect the sum of the other stats. So yeah, you can see that the panel, the size of the NVMe is back to zero again, right? So it's not utilizing any of the space, so the space used is back to zero. So yeah, that's mostly for the how to set up the Grafana, the default dashboard, and how to add a graph. And this is just an example, but you can add the more user specific or admin specific environment. We'll time to time we update the default dashboard as well. So that's probably it from the Grafana side. The last thing is to the conclusion and the context. So we have seen so far the DAOS metrics can be run in a multiple way. Basically the same parameter can be visualized in a different way. So first thing is you can run the DAOS metrics on the individual servers, you can get the data. The second is you can run the DMG telemetry from the admin node, and you can view the data. You can set up the Prometheus, and so we can see the data from the web browser using the Prometheus endpoint for individual server. And eventually, the last is you can set up the Grafana, which is the ideal visualization, and considering the number of systems and the clusters size, Grafana is ideal to set up, so that way we can visualize the data in based on the time range as well. So that's probably it. The last thing is the contact. So if you have any issue, please contact us. So the contact information is on the repository. If you go back on the DAOS and if you scroll down, there is a community and the contact. So either you can use a forum, or you can add, if you find the issue, you can open an issue in the Jira repeat, including some log also. Make sure you have read the debug logs and included some of the log and the reproducer stats. Community is available on the Slack channel, and as well as we can respond. We do respond on the mailing list as well. So if you have any, you can search the existing questions on the mailing list, and if you don't find the same issue, please raise a new thread. Please ask us, and we will be able to answer it. Thank you, and let us know if you have any other issues or concerns. Thanks.